Hey everyone. Um, this video is just a recap of what we have done so far. Because I know in my K break we're going to be relaxed and come back. We're going to be forgetful of what was taught. So I want to make this video for you guys so you guys could have a chance to get what you need. All right. All right. Some announcements. So January 27th through the 30th. It's a testing week. You're going to have mock ACT, EBR benchmark, and my test. Of course, the project I was telling you guys, we're going to move that far back. And just a reminder, you are responsible for your own education. So making sure that whatever was taught in the class, you was able to retain it in the classroom. So that means when I give you a quiz, you should be able to, have it down pat. I'm aware everyone got busy lives, and that's true. We all got lives to go to. Like me being a potential student, so I'm gonna definitely be busy. And I got a job too, which is dealing with y'all. You guys, got jobs too. All this, all that. However, the knowledge that's you being taught is going to come and be applied to you guys, in real life in so many ways, right? So, in the rotation next week, we're going to be doing ACT strategies with middle school math, algebra solving equations and factoring, statistics central tendency, and that's going to fall into our middle school math right there, and some geometry. Mainly, next week is going to be Buku geometry. So, half the rotations stage is going to be geometry. All right, tutoring. Guys, be a part of it. It could possibly be the one thing that could possibly save you when it comes to the end of the third 9 weeks and fourth 9 weeks. So, yeah, lots of tutoring is coming. Also, our fabulous deans and teachers are coming, like Miss Meyer, she's gonna be there. Myself gonna be there. Miss Antoine, Dean Kane, Dean Jackson. You're gonna be dealing with some good people trying to help you guys out. And of course, come for the bonus points and the help. 5 tutors can lead to a special power if you are in my class, some type of benefit. 10 can lead you to a special power. 15 and 20 could lead you to something nice. Okay? So make sure you come to the tutoring sessions. Others at least come for the, benefits that it provides for you. All right? So, yeah, let's recap of what we have done through this week. So, we used our knowledge of the geometry, using the circumference of a circle being 2 pi r. And we also defined a circle with a radius of 1 centered around the origin is the unit circle. And we also realized that angles could be measured both in two ways, degrees and in radians. And when we're dealing with a circle, an angle that measures 1 radian has the same arc length equals to its radius. We drew our pictures, which we're going to draw some more of just to get you caught up. We also talked about coterminal angles. We dealt with 120 degrees, and we noticed that 120 is going counterclockwise as in quadrant number 2. We also dealt with angles bigger than 360. Now, in the class, I showed you to figure out what quadrant 480 degrees would be. You could go 360 minus 480. And when you do that, that's going to give you 120. And of course, degrees, then you are in quadrant number 2 still. Because the terminal angle, the terminal ray, end up in the same spot as the original 120 degrees. Therefore, these angles are terminal, so 120 and 480 are terminal angles. So, that location. All right. Let's talk about, and again, it's going counterclockwise, and it did one complete full rotation. We also talked about when we're dealing with negative angles. So, and I showed you, you go 360 minus 240, so you can know where you guys are at. And you're going to be still 120 degrees in the same spot as you were, still being quadrant number 2. Now, since all three angles share the terminal side, these angles are coterminal. So that's where we review, and do not forget, angles are consisted of an initial angle that always starts at x on the x coordinate with a vertex at the origin. And then your terminal side could be anything. So it could look like this. Like this, it could go around for the 360 degree circle. Alright. So this is just again a picture summary of what I talked to you guys about those angles as it relates to terminal angles. And we know that angle is consists of an initial side and a terminal side. Alright. So we also talked about those two measurements being degrees and radians dealing with the unit circle. I taught you guys about how to convert a radians from a degree, which you go pi over 80 times degrees. But I know in class I would say like degree times pi over 180. Now that is no different than what your textbook have told you, which is right here, because of commutative property of multiplication. So doesn't matter how you wrote it, it's all to the same. Alright? So for example, when we try and get to 30 degrees, we know by using the formula to go from degrees to radians, you just got to multiply it by pi over 180. So when we do that, we get 30 over 180. That's going to be simplified to 1/6. And again, we're dealing with pi in the numerator, so it's going to be pi over 6. That's how we convert 30 degrees to the radians pi over 6. Now, when I give the radians of pi over 3, I always told you simply just multiply by 180 over pi. These cancel out, and you get 180 divided by 3, and that equals 60 degrees. So that's what we did throughout this week. All right, and again, this is just a bigger picture example of how we figure things out. Now, here at the end of the week, we discussed the trig ratios dealing with the unit circle. And we also talked about the new coordinates when using the unit circle. So instead of x and y, now you got cosine and sine. And we realized this week that now the coordinates is cosine and sine. So if I was to say, like, we're going to get to that example for a moment, but using this triangle, we could create a newer name for our trig ratios. So we know what sine, cosine, tangent is going to be. So we know that cosine is x over 1. So that's how we got cosine right here. And we know sine is 1 over 1 right here. And that's how we got sine. And then we know tangent is y over x. And that's how we got tangent. So that's what we discussed throughout the week. Now do not forget I have newer videos, well, older videos of me teaching the same lesson. All right. So now we took that knowledge and we find sine of 0, cosine, and tangent of 0. We did something like this. Sine of 0 looking at our coordinates right here, sine of 0 was just 0 because sine is my y value. Cosine of 0 was 1 because that's the x value. And then tangent was y over x. So 0 divided by 1 equals 0. And that's how we was able to figure out our trig ratios involving 0 degrees, which was right here. Also, we realized that 0 degrees and 360 degrees will all have the same result for sine, cosine, and tangent. So you figure out sine, cosine, tangent of 0 degrees. You also found it for 360 degrees. So that's what we did. All right. And the 1 comes from the radius being rotated throughout the unit circle. So here we are. And then we did the same thing for the rest of 90, 180, 270. And we realized that 1 divided by 0 at any moment, or anything divided by 0, is always forevermore going to be undefined. Now, before I end on this note, do not forget y'all come to tutoring, get you some points, focus on getting your ACT skills, all of that stuff. All right. Now, let's end of what we talked about, and this mainly happened to be their class. So, I have taught you that you have three important angles to deal with: 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. All are important. All right? Because you're going to create yourself some reference angles. Again, I have videos of this, but if you want videos with cool graphics, I would either make you some or post some for you. 45 degrees and 60 degrees. All right. So we realize reference angles, we're going around from 0 to 360. We're going to have a pattern that has 30, 45, and 60. For example, if I want to find a reference angle in 60 degrees, I will go 180 minus 60 is 120. Well, actually, what I did do, I showed you that 120 degrees has a reference angle of 60. That's why I actually showed you. So, if I was trying to find another angle that is a reference to 45 degrees, that's what I should have stated to you. You're going to go 180 minus 45, and you're going to have 135. All right? And then for 30 degrees, to find an angle that's a reference to that in quadrant number 2, I go 180 minus 30, I get 150. So that's what we did. Now, if you need further assistance, go back to the previous videos so you can understand how to do quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So that's what we discussed. And like I said, just watch the videos that I posted in Google Classroom and they will help you. Alright, yeah, any further questions, see me when we come back from our little king break. There will be no quizzes in the morning. What we're going to do, we're going to do our rotations. Alright? Enjoy your break.